What is going on, y'all? This is the Caveman. I'm here with Football with Oz Austin for episode 90 of Against the Blitz. And today we are going to run through our finalized award predictions for the 2025-26 NFL season. This is set in stone. This is who we think should win every single award, even though I'm sure the NFL will, and the brilliant voters will take their own magical course to their conclusions. We're going to be more correct. We actually know more than those people do. And honestly, at this point, I don't think that's a crazy statement based on what's been happening over the last few weeks.
Yeah. I said that when Luke Kuechly wasn't the first ballot Hall of Famer. And then I said it again now that Bill Belichick all of a sudden is not a first ballot Hall of Famer. These people don't know anything, okay? I don't care. We put our heart and soul into this. We watched the film. I think we got a good list.
Yes, we do. Yes, Bill Belichick. That I don't care what I don't care. These guys are coming out and blaming the voting process and whatever else goes into the decision making. But the fact that Bill Belichick, I don't care who else is on the ballot. I don't care who else has been waiting longer than they should be waiting. But his name's there. You write his name down. That's it. It's that simple.
Yes. It's not baseball. We're not arguing about Scott Rowland here. We are just literally putting in the greatest coach of all time into the Hall of Fame. It's the easiest thing they could have ever done. Like after Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, and like Jerry Rice, he's like the fourth name that I probably would put in there pretty quickly. Like it's easily one of the most obvious first ballot Hall of Fame guys ever. So if they can't figure that out, I have no faith that they're going to figure out the awards. I know it's probably different voters. I don't care. Same shit. It's always just sus. Like Joe Flacco and the comeback player.
I was just gonna ask you, between Joe Flacco winning comeback player of the year over DeMar and Bill Belichick not being a first ballot Hall of Famer, which is a bigger fuck up on these voters' part?
Bill, for sure.
Yeah,
because Hamlin still didn't really come. He didn't do much. Like it wasn't like he came back and played great. He just died and came back. Like.
Yeah, I mean
it's usually just like the best player that comes back from being hurt. Like who comes back and becomes an All-Pro after an injury. That's usually what that award is.
Yeah, but he died.
Yeah, but he was like also like a C+ safety. Like
no. He died. He died. I can't rehash it. I've never been more fucking shocked in my life. Like I have been blown away by some of the things that's happened in the NFL these past few years. That, bar none, was the biggest upset. The most I've probably shit my pants on the spot ever when it comes to something NFL related.
Joe Flacco.
Fuck me, man. What a joke. Well, because we're unique, we're fun, and we're different, we created 3 custom categories that we're going to start with to branch out. Everyone's going to do their MVP discussion, Drake May, Matthew Stafford debate for the 95th time. We're going to have that at some point here too, but we want to try and throw our own spin on it. We have 3 custom awards. The first one is going to be most improved. The second will be scheme merchant of the year. And the third is the most clutch player of the year. So we'll start with your most improved player. Who would be your most improved player of 2025-2026?
This is where I put my Drake May stock. I think it's nice to argue about MVP, all that. I think more importantly, we can talk about just the jump he made from year 1 to year 2 and why I think a lot of people, myself included, were so shocked that the Patriots were this good so fast. And I think we looked around it and we saw, a decent roster, but we're just like second year May. We don't know what that looks like. He was promising, but a lot of turnovers, not a lot of touchdowns. Comes in and is, an MVP candidate pretty quickly. I think that even if he doesn't win the MVP award, I think being the most improved player, I think he by far was the biggest jump to elite out of anybody in the league.
Yeah, that's good. That fits perfectly. I think it was so obvious I didn't even think that clearly on it. But yeah, I mean, Drake May has taken an ascension that not even his biggest fans could have foreseen in such a short amount of time. Like coming out of college, this was supposed to be a 4-year project at minimum, and that was really the big debate about him being taken so soon. But here we are, and he's legitimately in top 7 quarterback conversations already. And I don't as much as I have been anti-Patriots, anti-May, the schedule, Drake, the schedule, May, all that other crap shoot of shit, it's tough to deny what he's done, and he comfortably has improved tenfold. And shout out to Josh McDaniels for that. I also want to add that on, but that's a good shout. My most improved player was Parker Washington, the Jaguars receiver. I think he played so good that I wanted to acknowledge him somewhere here. I think to some degree, this is more of the case of he just didn't get a chance and then he finally did and he went crazy kind of thing. But still, another one of those things where even if Parker Washington truthers were like, yeah, man, he just needs the targets, he just needs the opportunities, they probably never would have seen, damn near all pro level football from him, playing next to Jacoby Myers and taking over for Travis Hunter and the vacancy that Brian Thomas left behind. Like, he came through and legitimately he was like an Amon-Ra St. Brown type of winner in the intermediate part of the field, and he was getting downfield. Like, I don't know. That was an ascension that I don't think people could say they saw coming whatsoever. So Parker Washington stock up big time.
I've been his biggest truther for a long time. I love Parker Washington, but it was as like a punt returner and like a slot possession guy that I thought could maybe get like 4 catches in a game. I definitely didn't think that he would take over as their actual genuine wide receiver 1 at any point. With Brian Thomas Jr. healthy, Jacoby Myers healthy, I didn't think that Washington of all people was going to just become the highest targeted guy on the team. That was the most shocking part, but the talent has always been there. He's just like that kind of modern day slotty type possession receiver that's just killing it right now. He's the perfect mold for it.
He is. Yeah, he definitely fits that like new age, just find the space, get open type of receivers we're seeing take over. And I'm going to make a small prediction that I'll probably unravel more throughout the offseason going into next year. But I think 2026 version of this will be Josh Downs. I think he is just, we're waiting for him to kind of get the opportunity. He's been shoved in that room with so many different archetypes for so long. If Michael Pittman doesn't return, if Alec Pierce doesn't return, I think there's going to be some targets available. And Josh Downs could be the next guy to peek out of this mold.
See it.
How about your scheme merchant player of the year?
Yeah, and scheme merchant, when we say the word merchant, it sounds mean because everyone uses merchant like on Twitter to say this guy sucks because he relies on the scheme. But mine was more a compliment to the defensive play caller that has unlocked this player into this role. And I chose Nick Emenwari because he was a very polarizing prospect of like, and even myself said it where I was like, I just don't know where to put him because if he goes to the Bengals and has to play like a traditional strong safety, he might not be that good. But if he gets to go somewhere and just be kind of used as a defensive weapon, I think you could really see something awesome. And that's what he got to do with Mike Macdonald in Seattle, where he comes in and probably is a defensive rookie of the year favorite, already one of the most dynamic safety nickel type players in the league. He's a freak. And I don't think that we see this if he is drafted to the Raiders or if he's drafted to the Panthers. Like, I think it was very specific in Seattle's system with the safeties they already have and the corners they already have, where he could just be that 6'3", 220 athletic freak and just go attack the football. And that's what he gets to do. And he's very much benefiting from it, but also is one of the most important parts of their defense.
Yeah, he definitely is what Mike Macdonald, I think, needs to really have his defense fully unlocked. Like, he had a Kyle Hamilton in Baltimore, and he just kind of went and found another version of that for Seattle. And, as aggressive as they play, they do need somebody that they can trust to just be a freak. And Emenwari has been that, especially down the stretch in the postseason at the end of the regular season. Like, it kind of came out of nowhere, too. I'm not entirely sure if it's just because the playing time amped up or what, but early on in the season, we didn't hear much about him, and then it just kind of suddenly felt like he started making big play after big play out of nowhere. But my scheme merchant for for 2025, 2026. I definitely took a more, I don't want to say hatred route, but I wasn't as positive as Austin was. I went with somebody that I think could potentially get exposed in the near future. And I hate to say it, but I think it's Osiris Torrance, Bills guard. He's fine. I think he's a very good run blocker. I think he's a questionable pass protector, but I think playing with Aaron Cromer in such a very well-nourished environment, we'll say, like it just is hard for, I feel like, any offensive lineman in what this ecosystem has been to struggle. Like it's one of those groupings recently where if someone goes down and someone replaces him, I'm not going to say you don't notice a difference, but more often than not, the cohesion kind of uplifts the talent. And I'm afraid without Aaron Cromer around and the rumblings we've been hearing about how he was kind of the run game coordinator more than Joe Brady has been, like there's been a lot of that coming out. I don't know what what Osiris Torrance is going to be in the near future. And I feel like there are going to be some just flaws with his game that could come to light without Aaron Cromer around. But we'll see. It's a complete prediction. He's just been comfortably, in my opinion, the worst starting O-lineman for Buffalo, which isn't saying much, but
no, I think he's kind of what everybody expected him to be. Just this big oaf of a lineman. He's kind of like what everybody expected Tyler Booker to be. Just that's very similar. Kind of limited ceiling, big, just barrel-chested body lineman that he'll get the job done. But like you said, I mean, if they have to change up their scheme at all, it could get questionable because he's just not that kind of athlete. The Bills also being on topic reminded me, I think that we both had horrible most improved pickups and choices because we forgot a one Cole Bishop to be the most improved player because, wow, I forgot how much I love Cole Bishop and not only improved from last year to this, but improved from week 1 to like week 6. That was the fastest I've ever seen a football player improve. And I just thought about it because you said the Bills, but back to your Osiris topic. Yeah, I like that one a lot. It definitely was a different direction that I went, but I do agree. I could see how it could be a little bit frightening.
I was trying to, when I think scheme merchant, I was trying to think of, where the scheme matters the most. And, a lot of people just go to quarterbacks for that. That's kind of a big correlation people will make. But I think more often than not, offensive linemen are affected by scheme probably the most. I don't know. You can't quantify that necessarily, but it matters a ton.
It does.
So
and
I'm not sure
go ahead. Well, I was going to say, I think a lot of these seasons where we randomly see like a 32-year-old defensive player or a 30-year-old lineman all of a sudden become good out of nowhere, a lot of that is scheme-based. Like some of it is development, but a lot of that is them finally finding a coach that knows how to use them correctly. And I think they've used Torrance pretty well, but I mean, we even saw like last year, remember like Kyle Van Noy had like 13 sacks or something stupid. This year, he probably had less than 5 off the top of my head. Like, if scheme changes a little bit, you can see players like severely have production changes.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, it's not really a knock on the player per se. It's just something that when you stop looking at football as so black and white, and I do this. I'm a victim of this. Very opinionated. I'm very very harsh, whether it's good or bad. But as long as you remain objective in the sense that you went through your checks and you appreciate that, Brock Purdy, for example, is someone that I've given a lot of hate towards in the past. And while I would not take that back and while my feelings still were true and exist, it doesn't change the fact that Brock Purdy as a quarterback isn't bad because he plays for Kyle Shanahan. Like, he might be overrated per a fan standpoint, but that doesn't change the fact that scheme plus player equals best version of said player. And you can't have a good player without a good coach. So
that's true.
That's really the bottom line. Mm-hmm. Who was your most clutch player? This one was kind of tough for me.
This one was the one that came to mind the fastest, and that was Caleb Williams.
Okay.
Of just guys like when I thought off the top of my head who I felt most comfortable leading a last-minute drive. The guy off the top of my head that probably made the most clutch throws, the most game-winning throws. And I know they ended on a sour note with an untimely interception. Up for debate, DJ Moore stopped running. But I think overall, the full body of work for the regular season, I don't think there was anybody more clutch in the fourth quarter than Caleb Williams was.
That is true. I was going to go with Caleb, and I'm like, I feel like I've been on his coattails a little bit too much lately. So I wanted to personally try and change it up because you will never hear me say a bad word about Caleb Williams ever. So I went for somebody that I almost kind of disagree with to some extent, but it's one of those things that there's just too much evidence, and that's Bo Nix. Bo Nix was going 3.5 quarters of a game playing the worst football you've ever seen, and then suddenly when it mattered at the end of it, he's completing every pass. They're driving down the field. They're scoring the touchdown when it's necessary. I think they comfortably led the league, and I think it was comeback victories or maybe one score wins. All of those categories that kind of get lumped together in late game execution. The Broncos, Bo Nix particularly, at the top of it. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I think he made Caleb Williams-esque throws or Josh Allen type plays, but there's a little bit to say when, push came to shove that offense and Bo Nix, for whatever reason, just decided, hey, I guess it's time to do the thing now. And they did consistently.
Yeah. I mean, he made all of his money this year off of being clutch. Like you said, probably bottom 8 first 3/4 of the game quarterback in the league. But when it came down to it in the fourth quarter, he did play like a top 15 quarterback. Absolutely. And that's what kind of makes it sting as a Broncos fan watching that Patriots game, how close they got it, and seeing Jarrett Stidham just throw up that goose at the very end, straight up in the air, no air under it, right to the corner. Like, you knew in your heart Bo Nix wasn't doing that because the body of work that he put down on important drives was like 9 out of 10 times they were getting the points they needed, like almost every single time. So to look at that as a fan and say, damn, like, I know we still almost won with Jarrett Stidham in, but it was pretty obvious they would have won probably by a score or two if they had Bo Nix in that game.
I don't even think that can be argued. Like, if you held a gun to a Patriots fan's head and said, do you think you win that game if Bo Nix is starting? Anybody that's sane would say absolutely not. Like, we lose. And I think the biggest reason is just because of the difference with the feet. Like, Jarrett Stidham, I obviously he's not the best athlete ever or the most mobile guy, but it felt like at times he wasn't even like thinking to try and run when that was really the only choice in a game where, especially down the stretch, the weather got bad. And that was really the only thing Drake May did. Like, that was how Drake May moved the football. When he moved the football was with his legs, and Stidham, on the other hand, didn't move the ball at all because he kind of refused to run. So, yeah, it stings. Somehow it stings for fucking Bills fans just as much as it probably stings for Broncos fans. But I can't. I'm past it. We're removed from it. It's a new sun rose these past 2 days. I got to get over it because it's just been eating me alive.
Yeah. Tough week for Bills fans.
Oh my God.
Tough 2 weeks or 3 weeks, however many it's been.
Like, actually the worst stretch of fandom in my life. I feel bad for my parents' generation. They lived through 4 Super Bowl losses, 13-second, all the bullshit in the Josh Allen era. Now this has got to be the worst fan experience ever. Like,
and
ever.
Then it's just Joe Brady at the end of all of it.
I know. Oh my God, man. Well, we'll get to the actual awards, and we'll start with the big one, the MVP award. At the halfway point of the season, when we made an episode of this type, I know Austin had Matthew Stafford as his MVP, and I went with Drake May. Did you stick with your original vote?
Yes, and the playoffs made it so much easier. Like, I understand it's a regular season award. I don't care. It's fresh on our minds. We just saw what we just saw. And we saw Drake May win games, putting up sub Jalen Hurts stat lines. We saw him be carried by his team, honestly. I think he played well in some clutch situations, but we saw kind of that argument where people say like the Patriots team is bad and Drake May is good and carried them to wins. I think we saw where the Patriots team's actually pretty damn decent. And I think we saw Stafford's defense let him down in these situations. And it only proved my point more. Where like he played his ass off. He was the best quarterback on the planet in that moment. And just still his defense gave up 30 something points. They lost the game. He balled his ass off. Regular season, like that's what every Stafford game looked like to me, was what he just did that last game. He had an unbelievable season, led his team to wins. I don't see how it's not Stafford.
Yeah, I definitely am going to flip my vote. I was previously a Drake May MVP voter. I would allow the playoffs to change that as well. Like, I made a video about it, but that drive after the muffed punt, which led to a free 7 points for the Seahawks, that sent the Rams down 2 scores, where Matt Stafford just took the field in the most hostile environment against the most ferocious defense you can go up against, and just threw 3 fucking perfectly placed footballs to get them in scoring distance instantly, and then put up a response score legitimately in like 2 minutes. Like, he threw that layered throw to Parkinson right over Josh Jobe. He hit Devontae Adams on the sideline on a fade ball, and then he threw a perfect pass to Devontae in the end zone. It was like the quickest, most efficient drive I think I've ever seen. Like, given the context, like that game right there felt over when that muff happened. They scored that touchdown. The whole field was tilted in Seattle's favor, especially playing on their home field. But you have this just hardened vet that took the field completely unfazed and reinstilled confidence in his team in a moment where I think 99% of quarterbacks probably crumble and they're struggling to fight back for the remainder of the game. But the muff became kind of irrelevant pretty quickly because of how fast Stafford was able to answer. So, I mean, my God, like he could be my clutch player just for that drive alone.
Yeah.
That's how good he was.
Yeah, and I'm not using these playoff performances as like my reasoning. The regular season is my reasoning, but if I have to explain it to you, like I think people can now finally start to understand. Like, people talk about how Stafford's not the best player on his own team and all these kind of things. But it's just crazy coincidence to me that every single time Stafford is on a football field, his wide receiver 1 goes nuclear. No matter who it is or what kind of prospect he was, how big or fast or whatever, they always go nuts. So I think it's kind of crazy just to keep saying that Cooper Kupp's the reason Stafford looks good. Puka's the reason he looks good. Megatron's the reason he looks good. Robert Woods was the reason he looked good for a bit. Like, maybe he's just good. Maybe.
Yeah, I going back to the whole regular season thing and Drake the schedule May or whatever the hell all these Gen Z jokes go. I found there are so many ways to like reframe how easy the schedule was for New England, but the one tweet I saw that just had me on my ass, I was laughing when I saw this, was this one that I just had it pulled up and I hit the back button. It was oh my God, give me a second. It was a tweet, basically, here it is. The Patriots schedule. Week 1, they played a team that ended up firing their coach. Week 2, fired coach. Week 3, fired coach. Week 4, they played the NFC South. That's enough explanation. Week 5, fired coach. Week 6, NFC South again. Week 7, fired coach. Week 8, fired coach. Week 9, fired coach. Week 10, take a guess. NFC South. And then the Jets. And then the Jets. And then the Bengals in week 12. And then fired head coach in 13. Fired head coach in 15. Fired head coach in 16.
My God.
And then the Jets. And then the Jets in week 17. And then fired head coach in week 18.
That Bengals team also had no Burrow, Jamar, or Trey Hendrickson. And they lost by like less than 1 score.
It's just like,
because of a Geno Stone pick 6.
Unbelievable. Like to face legitimately 1, 2, 3 teams. Well, four, I guess 5 or 6 teams that didn't end up firing their coach all season. And for those other games to be 2 of the Jets and then a few against the worst division in football. Like it's not even an exaggeration. It's legitimately the easiest schedule I think I've ever seen. Like ever.
Yes, this is a historical thing.
Yeah.
And that's why I hate using it because it feels so cheap and gross. But when someone else tries to be like the high and mighty guy, I'm like, guys, yes, their schedule might be easy, but like, look what they did. They had to win all these games. It's very impressive. They're obviously a good team. Like, yeah, obviously they're good. They're in the Super Bowl, but I feel like it's so disingenuous to act like this is anything other than probably the easiest schedule of our lifetime. And then you get to the playoffs, you get the 2 worst lines in football, and then you face a Broncos team that would have been your best test yet. Amazing game, probably, and then their clutch quarterback dies after the game before, so you don't even have to play him. You have to play Jarrett Stidham, who hasn't played reasonable football in like 3 years and had 1 touchdown to 2 interception ratio the whole time. Like, it was just it's the easiest schedule known to man. And like I hate bringing it up because it's the most talked about thing in sports right now, but like I feel like it's just disingenuous to act like that didn't happen.
Agreed. And that's the frustrating part. And it goes back to discourse with anything in sports is like, I wouldn't sit here and feel the need to talk about it or argue against it if people just admitted that this is reality. Like it's not, we're not manufacturing a narrative here. Like this is just the reality of what happened. And we all saw it. Like nothing I read in that tweet was incorrect. Those were the results of teams that they played, who they faced all season. Like it's not like I just read off fake stats. That all those things happened. So
yes, I always have the utmost respect for teams that can understand. Like, yes, we won X game because of the refs, but we won. We won. Or if you're like, yeah, we faced the easiest schedule probably of the last 100 years, but we won. We're in the Super Bowl. Suck it. I'll respect you for that. Like, yeah, you made it. That's awesome. Like in normal circumstances, if Patriots fans just accepted that and moved on, I'd be able to root for them so much more because I'd be like, okay, awesome, we made it. It's a new game. We're finally the Seahawks are a great test. If they beat the Seahawks, then they deserve to win. Amazing. But we've gotten to the point where they try to argue against it and like say that no, like it wasn't like the easiest schedule ever. Like we still won all the games we had to win. Like we deserved it just as much as anybody else did. Like that's where I kind of strongly have to agree. Because even when they reached the playoffs, they somehow still had the easiest playoff stretch of games, probably also in the last couple decades.
I thought the Broncos had some black magic, but this is some dark demon like drawing sand stars and whatever, opening like evil books. Like this is something else. Like for it to happen in the postseason as well. Not only did they face the worst lines they could have, they also faced the worst versions of the quarterbacks they also went up against. Like I don't think we've seen, other than I guess previous postseason Justin Herbert performances, a worse version of Herbert. And
this was
Stroud,
worse.
I think so too. And Stroud, I mean, he's been a cucumber for a little bit now, but like lo and behold, what is he again? He sucks again. Like and then like you said, then Stidham is playing. Like and not only is Stidham starting, but it started snowing. Like maybe if that game is like neutral weather-wise, Stidham could find a way to push the ball downfield like he did earlier on. They were kind of in rhythm for a bit. I'm like, holy shit, they might do this. Like I kind of was excited for a second. And then the second the snow hit, all they had to do was switch up man or zone behind and just send the dogs at Jared, and he just started freaking the fuck out. And that was the end of the game. If it doesn't snow, who knows what happens? But no, the demon gods had to say, weather, get Jared. And that was it.
I think we're going to wake up on the Saturday before the Super Bowl, and we're all going to read on our phones, oh my God, the ceiling fell on Mike McDonald. He's dead. They're going to have to play a game without him. Scratch that. The whole hotel fell on the entire team. They're going to have to scrap a team out of nothing. Like that's what's going to happen. It's been that kind of luck. And I hate to tarnish like a team's accomplishments, but like it genuinely feels like nothing. Like, how many fucking times have they fumbled in the playoffs? Every single one goes back to him, and they start the next game off with a rifle of a slant directly into Hufunga's chest, and he just drops it. Like,
I know
everything just goes their way, and they're like, "Whew, that was a close one, boys." And we're like, "My God, no other team in history has ever dealt like with this kind of thing in my life, except for the Patriots of yesteryear." It's insane. I don't get it.
They finished out that game against Denver, not even trying to move the ball. They were just like walking out there and being like, "Hey, just like get a yard and then like fall." Like just don't fumble.
They threw it away on third down. It was
like 3rd and 5. Yes, it was
like
a designed
rollout and throwaway.
Literally, like
the Patriot, the Jarrett Stidham in the snow could not move the ball, and then he just throws up a 25-mile-an-hour duck to Christian Gonzalez. He threw it to like Marvin Mims, completely smothered.
Yeah, not to mention Gonzalez started 30 yards off the line of scrimmage. And still threw it.
And Cortland Sutton sucks all of a sudden.
Yeah,
terrible player. Let's move on because I hate this topic. It's the most over talked about topic in sports. It has to be talked about. Like, there's no other way around it.
Yes, it's like addressing the elephant in the room. Like,
yes,
you can't walk
lucky ass elephant.
you can't walk up to your Thanksgiving table and just not acknowledge the fact that your uncle's being like a belligerent dick because he's drunk off his ass. Like, you have to talk about it.
Like, it genuinely feels like if I walk into the room and there is a whole elephant, I like whisper to my sister, and be like, "What's it doing in here?" like what? Who put that there? It's the same thing. Like, how are they allowed to do this over and over again? But it feels like slimy if I critique it. I don't know why. Yeah. I hate being the excuses guy.
I don't find it slimy. I revel in these types of debates because I will lead the charge against the false belief. What should they be called? These people that don't acknowledge reality. Like, there's got to be a word, but I will lead the charge against them. The deniers. And although I will say, like you said, if they beat the Seahawks, fine. I will rescind everything I've ever said, and I will admit that I was wrong. But I am very confident that's not going to happen. So I'm not worried about it at all.
I'm not, because I understand how football magic works. Either way.
Well, MVP Matthew Stafford, Offensive Player of the Year. Who did you end up going with?
I got my boy Bijan Robinson. And this was closer because you could have said 4 different names, and I could find an angle to put JSN, Puka, CMC, Stafford, even Drake May, even like I could see those angles. But in terms of like who was most important to their team's success offensively, I don't think one person did more than Bijan Robinson. I mean, he led the NFL in scrimmage yards. He was highly efficient. The tape itself, like, you don't even have to show me a stat line. I would tell you that's the best skill position player in football right now. I would argue he is the best offensive player in football right now, just based off of how, like, I don't think it's arguable to say there's anyone else better than him at the running back position right now. We have not seen a man move like this since like LT. He is on a different planet, and we would all comfortably agree on it if his quarterbacks weren't Michael Penix and Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. And I think the same could be said about a few players on that offense, but I digress. Bijan has been like, he is the definition of a video game-esque player. Like, there's only like a handful of them in the league. You know, Lamar, of course, when he's healthy. Bijan is definitely in that conversation. Like, he makes moving look like it's so easy. Like, I'm an athletic guy, I think, and I play football and I feel like I can move well, but there are things that he does with his body that even if I trained my whole life from being born to be able to do, I wouldn't be able to do at least as often as he does and as smoothly as he does. Like, he can just stop on a dime and reaccelerate so smoothly. It's really like art. It's like watching like and that's why the camera angles of like him in the air are so smooth because of him. They're not just the camera angles. Like he is that smooth.
You could try that with like Tyler Algier. It won't do the same at all. It will not be the same. He'll look like just like a Hulk trying to run you down. But for being as big as like Robinson, he's like 215, probably 220 pushing. Like he's a big back. He's a thick back. And he's easily one of the most skilled receivers in the game as a running back. He catches everything. I mean, the amount of one-handed catches, contested catches we see him make. We see him, like you said, stop on a dime. The change of direction ability is stupid for that size. And we even saw him a couple times this year unhook the trailer and kind of get going on some long runs. I mean, a lot of breakaway runs. We saw like a 90-something yard, like a 93-yard run or something out of him, which blew my mind because the entire thing leaving him off of being the best running back was that I don't think he had a run of more than like 25 yards in his entire career. But now he's stringing together those 6, 7, 8-yard runs on top of having legit breakaway ability now, which he used multiple times. So I think this is comfortably the best offensive player right now.
I would agree had I not been influenced by the playoffs.
Also fair. I know where you're going, and that's fair.
I cannot believe there are individuals out there that are trying to find a way to discredit Puka Nacua, the player. Why he's appearing on Aiden Ross kick streams, I don't know. But the player himself has become like an enigma. Like he's just inevitable. And I think as much as Nacua needs Stafford and McVay, as much as people argue that, McVay and Stafford need Puka. Like I think Cooper Kupp was around for a while. It took him a bit to finally have the one season of excellence that he had. This is back to back. This is 3 years now of unmatched, efficient production that is making everyone around him look unbelievable. Like this guy I don't care what anyone says, he can get open against man coverage. He has led the league in yards per route run in back-to-back seasons now. I saw a stat earlier where Nacua generated 142.4 expected points added in the regular and postseason alone. That is third amongst offenses. Like we're talking whole teams. Like he is the first is the Rams, of course, because he's a part of it. Second is the Bills. Then third is Nacua. And then fourth is the Packers and fifth is the Patriots. Like he is that efficient. And I get why people in the past have argued about, Cooper Kupp season and whether it was fluky or how good he truly was. But this is repeated. This is a different player. Like he's not just this slot player that is beating linebackers and slot corners. Like he is double moving these 6'3" uber athletic corners, and he's winning over the middle against, Witherspoon. Like I don't know what else he has to do to prove that he is what he is. Like Nacua was disgusting at every asset.
Yeah, I think this is the top 10 receiver of all time when it's all said and done. Like the trajectory, like at 24 years old, where we're already at through his third season, and like the clutch factor on top of the overall production and efficiency, that's the hard part. That when I try to argue like a running back as the best, it's hard because they don't have, the big late game moments. Like receivers are the ones that we go to when we are down. When you are down a score, when Stafford is needing a big drive and you just, got kind of handed a first down after a fourth and 12 taunting penalty. We need to go score now. Puka immediately just cooks Tariq Woolen downfield and gets a touchdown. Like that's not the kind of stuff running backs do. So I think when you're talking about value on top of it, receivers just flat out are more valuable than running backs. And I think it's totally fine to put multiple receivers here this year. If you wanted to argue JSN, I have no argument there either. He's been doing the exact same thing. So to have him here, to have Puka here, I think those are totally, totally acceptable.
The clutch factor is a good key point too, because I can remember in multiple instances where, big moment of the game, whether it's late or not, Stafford went to his guy. He's committed to getting the ball to his guy. And I remember thinking back to what was it, the Falcons game. It was not a catch ultimately, but
Yes.
he guns a ball to the sideline to Nakua, and he makes the most insane almost catch probably I've ever seen. Like it was a mere centimeters away from being one of the craziest catches of the last like 5 years. And then like even against the Seahawks late, he made a dumb contested catch over the middle of the field that like no one cared about because they had to get on the ball quick and they had to keep moving. Like, I don't know. The clutch factor really is there with him too. When you need a completion, you just put the ball in his area and he'll get it, which is so crazy to think about because that's not really, especially early and even now, I guess, based on who you are, that's not what he's known for. He is known to be the, move him around everywhere and find the open space for him, catch the open dig route or the slant underneath. But he has become such a dominant downfield receiver. Like I'm talking, as good as the DeAndre Hopkins were in their prime, like that's how good he is at the catch point. And he does not get any credit for that, at least enough, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's what's kind of shocked me most about his game. When I really liked him as a prospect, and I've really liked him his entire career, but seeing how he can win at the catch point now, seeing just like the physical dominance is really shocking. Like even though he's not like a freak athlete, he plays like some of the fastest receivers in the league because he's just 100% all the time. It's really impressive.
That's a good way to put it. 100% all the time. He never like will not try for a football. He always puts his body where it has to go, and he'll get killed to catch a ball if he has to. Like he does not care. Defensive player of the year. Feel like we probably don't have to spend too much time on this. At the halfway point, it was Myles Garrett. Right now, it's Myles Garrett. I don't even think there's another player that came close, to be frank.
Easiest defensive player of the year since I've been watching football.
Yeah, absolutely.
Easy. Best player on the planet.
What about offensive rookie of the year? Who did you go with here?
I think overall I had to go with Tet McMillan from the overall standpoint because he was an immediate starter week 1 and just he really didn't have a lot of like Heisman moment type games. He probably only had off the top of my head 1 or 2 games of like 125 plus yard dominant performances, but it was just a very consistent body of work. Very similar to kind of what I thought, like kind of what everybody thought he would be. Not necessarily dominant, but just a very solid, stable presence. I think you could have argued some other quarterbacks, maybe Dart, maybe Shuck, but they just came in too late into the season. I think if they played the full season, then we probably could be arguing them from a value standpoint, but just overall, the production, the consistency, the longevity, I think it has to go to Tet.
For every reason you just mentioned, he was also my offensive rookie of the year. Like, even when you look at Tyler Warren, he fell off because of, the quarterback problems, even though he started off so great. Colston Loveland started off as slow as you could start and then suddenly became the Bears' best pass catcher down the stretch.
Yes.
You could argue that. Egbuka was lightning to start the season. Shuck came in and he was great. Like, all of these guys had stretches of very good football, but as you put it very nicely, the whole body of work is important to me. And if we really want to be influenced by, the last few weeks, then, I have done that in this very episode 10 minutes ago. But I think altogether, McMillan, he was an 1,000-yard receiver. Like, just because it wasn't, it was not flashy. It was more Mike Evans-esque, if you will.
Mm.
But that doesn't mean it wasn't a good year from a very good player. And yeah, I think it's hard to argue anyone else when the whole season was good.
Man, Colston Loveland got me feeling something in some type of way, man. Like I truly think if he played the full season, I think on like a per snap basis, that was by far the best rookie. Maybe overall, offensively and defensively, was Colston Loveland. Down the stretch, also clutch factor with him. It felt like every fourth quarter, Caleb would pass up every receiver to try and hit up Loveland. Comfortably was the best rookie overall, in my opinion. And I think he's already like a top 6 tight end in the league.
Yeah, I think you can make the case for both of these young guys, like in their own right, to be top 5 guys right now. Like Kittle's, Kittle got hurt at the end of the year. He's going to be entering, I think, his age 32 or 33 season next year. Kelsey's fallen out of that conversation. A guy like Laporto who flashed early on, he kind of fell out and he got hurt. Like the tight end spot, the tight end position as a whole is kind of a barren wasteland for what you would consider to be the best at the position. So they're coming in at the right time. Like they are blossoming right off the bat. They're going to fill that next generation of tight ends obviously very nicely because of what we've already seen.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder where Sadiq will kind of file into all of this.
Yeah, the more I've watched Sadiq, the more I feel weird about like immediate impact. Like I'm not sure I see a guy that's like, win my one-on-one matchup, go be like a Loveland type of guy. I kind of see more of a Warren with him.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that's also finding its way very well into the league. These like 6'3", 250, just go block and win after the catch, and then maybe every once in a while go run the seam and catch it one-handed and score. Like there's still very much a really good spot for him, but I think he'll fit in nicely.
Yeah. I mean, even Fannin, like another young tight end that kind of came out of nowhere and
just like that
had a great year.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Browns, Harold Fannin, my defensive rookie of the year is Carson Schlesinger. I have been his second biggest fan throughout the course of this entire season, and I'm not gonna waver now. I think he was my choice at the halfway point, and going back to the conversation of stretches of time where players were good, Nick Eamon is going to be a popular name here, but too little, too late, buddy. Schlesinger was just because it wasn't down the stretch doesn't mean his stretch of games wasn't as impressive or as good. So I think Schlesinger deserves it.
Yeah. I mean, he was doing it week one, like against the Bengals. You already knew like, holy shit, this guy might be our second best defender, probably third behind Denzel Ward. But like that guy was making a huge impact and it just never stopped week after week. Like never did we once have to make like the excuse for him. Like every single week, it's like, oh, McMillan got shut down, but it was against Surtain, so it's fine. Or Membu got beat, Will Campbell got beat, but it was against Daniil Hunter, so it's fine. We never had to do that with Schlesinger. He never had a bad game like that where we had to make an excuse for him. It was just like this guy shows up, becomes a top 10 linebacker in the league pretty quickly, and just stayed there. That's all it was. And it's not flashy. It's not sexy. He didn't get a bunch of picks and a bunch of sacks. He just was the best defensive rookie of the year. And that's why I think that he pretty easily deserves the award. I don't care about Abdul Carter's pressures at all. I don't care. He was not that good, honestly. I think if it's anybody, it's Eman Worry. I'm fine if somebody makes that angle. Other than that, I don't think I see a good argument for anybody else.
Agreed. I mean, this was an all-pro caliber player. Like you said, top 10 linebacker, easily, no question. I think the thing with linebackers too, especially the off-ball guys, one is good when you know who they are, or I guess vice versa. If you know who they are, it's because they're just flat out terrible. But this is, of course, the inverse, where Carson Schlesinger has really become a household name really, really quickly because a linebacker in the middle of the field, when they are actually extremely good, when they are a top shelf talent, makes an impact every single play because they are that rangy. They are involved in almost every single play. So, there are a lot of linebackers across the NFL that I'm not going to call them figureheads or placeholders, but they just kind of, they do their job and they're okay at it, but their name doesn't get called out too often. But, for a guy like Schlesinger, like we're hearing his name every single down for the sheer fact that he is constantly around the ball. So he is going to be, he might have saved Andrew Berry's job, to be perfectly honest.
Truly. Him being that like little asterisk on the Travis Hunter trade, him and Judkins both being that like the second round picks were phenomenal. Like that kept them afloat. It kept them from being the first overall pick, which in hindsight, they probably would have wanted to have, maybe a quarterback change, but they have a Pro Bowler. It's incredible. They have a Pro Bowl quarterback on that roster. And now they are going, I'm only worried because they just lost Jim Schwartz.
Yeah.
Maybe like I mean, he's still on contract. I don't know how they do those gymnastics, but yeah, it sounds like he's out of the Browns organization. And I think that he was a big part of the very rapid development of Schlesinger. So I am worried they just bring in some goofball that doesn't know how to use linebackers and just turns him into something he's not supposed to be. But I have faith when you're surrounded by good DBs and good D linemen, like you'll be able to make your plays.
Yeah, you can kind of just free ball to some extent when you know you got that much of a safety blanket kind of surrounding you. Yeah, goofball. I wonder what goofball they're gonna hire because
nobody wants to go there. But like, I do think there is a chance somebody's like, okay, sure, I'll take Myles Garrett and Schlesinger and Grant Delpit and Denzel Ward. I mean, I guess that's fine.
Yeah.
I think that's a lot more intriguing than their head coaching job. So I think that's worth it. They have no offensive responsibility. They don't have to deal with Shadur. They don't have to deal with the whole Sanders hive. They don't have to deal with Dylan Gabriel and Deshaun Watson. All they have to do is just run the defense full of stacked players.
Yeah. Do you know that meme of the person laying in a bed and the soldier is like got his arms out and he's taking like fiery knives to the back, protecting the person laying in bed?
Yes.
That the person in bed is the Browns defensive coordinator.
Yes.
Whereas the coach and the offensive coordinator and the GM even are all the soldier. Like the DC gets to lay comfortably because he's got all this talent, and this defense is gonna be doing its job no matter what, and it's never gonna be their fault. But everyone else has to take the flaming the flaming sharp knives to the back. Well, comeback player of the year. Actually, I had one other question. Do you think anybody out there had a Joe Flacco comeback player of the year plus Shadur Pro Bowl plus Bill Belichick not to be first ballot Hall of Fame parlay?
Parlay? I don't think so. I don't think so. But they'd be a very rich man on what's that stupid app starts with a K?
Kalshi.
Yeah, if there was some Kalshi thing going on with that, then maybe. But
can I rant for a second about that?
You can do whatever you want.
Oh my fuck! The worst part about this entire coaching search, being a Bills fan, and even for other teams, is just constantly seeing Twitter pages that are like in the Bills Twitter circle constantly regurgitating, oh, look, Grant Udinski now up to 49% odds to be the head. Like, who gives a shit? This means absolutely nothing. We saw 3 days before Mike McCarthy was named the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Chris Shula was up to like 73% on Polymarket to be the hire. All we heard for 3 weeks was Chris Shula, and some of Nate Shieldhouse. But it was like Mike McCarthy was third or fourth on those odds boards the whole way through. And then lo and behold, who gets hired? Mike McCarthy. Do you know why? Because those sites don't know fucking shit. And it's so unbelievable to me how much they get engagement. Like the numbers, the interactions I see on these tweets, it's just so like, it's so mind-numbing. And people are like, oh, look, there's your head coach. I'm like, dude, stop sending this in my group chat. This means nothing. Like, I'm screaming at my friends, like, stop. Like, this means nothing.
Yeah. You get Joe Brady instead. Was Joe Brady number one on any of those Polymarket Kalshi type shit? No. He was also like fourth on like all of them. Because they're just like, what if they do that? What if they do the thing and they just keep Joe Brady around? And then they did the thing, and now every Bills fan wants to kill themselves and Terry and Bean and all the likes of them. But yeah, this is so stupid. I'm curious who they have as comeback player of the year, actually. I want to look at this.
I don't know. Like these sites, I think for some of them, they're accurate because they're obvious. Like the John Harbaugh thing, he was like 90% like the whole way through, because the second a rumor broke that he was, going to be going there or whatever, like everyone knew that John Harbaugh was going to be a Giant. And the same thing, like they also fucked it, like the Browns hire, like no one had Todd Monken on the Browns radar. So
no, because they were like, that would be stupid to hire like a 60-year-old coach that's like never really been a head coach, except for his Southern Mississippi University experience like 13 years ago. Outstanding. Yeah, they have. Yeah, Kalshi has Christian McCaffrey had a 91% chance to win the Comeback Player of the Year award. Is that who you have, or did you go elsewhere?
It is who I have, and that does track across like other markets too. Because I was looking at like the actual sports books, and they do have similar looking odds. So I don't give much credit to Kalshi for thinking they're ahead of the game with anything. But nonetheless, I did go with Christian McCaffrey. I think there are other ways you can run with this, but when I was debating it at first, I was trying to mock up which story was like almost the funniest to some extent. Like which one was I like laughing about so hard last year, and now here we are, and all of a sudden he's great again. It was McCaffrey. Like we were making Germany Frankenstein no legs jokes for fucking months, man. Like we were laughing about how bizarre all of that was. We're talking about how this guy can't walk anymore. Who knows what happened? And a season later, we're making even more jokes because he probably conjured whatever he had to steal the injury luck of all of his teammates and just take it all himself so that he can handle 500,000 touches and everyone else falls when a leaf hits them. So I find that funny. So I was like, yeah, I mean, I have to go with McCaffrey.
Yeah, I almost did. But I'm a huge hypocrite. I am a huge hypocrite because I've always said, like, the award should just go to whoever got hurt and then came back and then played well. Like it's just like a math equation of like biggest injury times best player equals comeback player of the year. But we saw something we have not seen, I don't think ever, and that is big fat Phillip Rivers got off his big old couch and literally came back to the NFL.
Yeah.
And I've argued against this because usually it's someone like Flacco or Geno Smith where they just come back from sucking. Like they just come back from the bench and they come back, it's a career comeback arc, whatever. I've argued against that for a long time. But if you genuinely leave the NFL, you gain some pounds, you probably don't move for 4 years. Like you're eligible for the Hall of Fame. And then you're like, yeah, I actually want to just come back now. And then you go out and play decent football. Like, honestly, it was way better than probably we all ever could have expected. I think Phillip Rivers winning comeback player of the year is not getting the recognition that it deserves. Even though it was like 2 games, it was really fun.
You are right. I was sitting here like, where is he going with this? And then I'm like, holy shit, how can I possibly forget that Phillip Rivers happened? Like, I feel like that arc swept everyone off their feet. And then when he was done, everyone everyone, I'm speaking for everyone, but from my perception, I forgot about it. I was up until the very point you just reminded me. And yeah, I mean, it's hard to disagree because there probably has never been an athlete ever to do that, ever. And not even just do it, but do it kind of well, like a lot better than anybody expected against defenses that were more difficult than Drake May faced all season. And he looked pretty good doing it. Like,
who'd he get? Seattle?
He got, I have it right here. He got Jacksonville, San Francisco, and Seattle.
Yeah, that's a gauntlet of playoff defenses that were like genuinely good.
Literally, like he had them. He threw for 277 and 2 touchdowns against the 49ers. He only threw for 120 and a touchdown against the Seahawks, but they only lost by 2. They almost beat the Seahawks with Phillip Rivers. Could you imagine if we were sitting here? No one would remember, but they're going to the Super Bowl, but we're like, you remember that time when Phillip Rivers beat the Super Bowl champions?
Like, yes. He just came in and just unleashed hell on him. Like threw a couple good balls in that time too. Like it wasn't just handoffs and like throwing for 80 yards a game. Like he had a couple good performances in that. I think that's totally worthy. Totally worthy. And the fact that it's just going to go to CMC just like that, it's a shame because they've given that bullshit to Flacco. just because he came back from being a backup and then became a starter. It's not a comeback. A comeback is being genuinely retired the last 4 years since COVID. Like Get Out was a new movie when he retired. And now all of a sudden it's like not even in the mention. It's crazy.
And the thing that is funny about that is Flacco only played 5 games that year he won it. Like, we're not talking like 8, 9, 10 games. He only played 5. Rivers played 3. Is the difference of 2 games really going to determine that Flacco deserved it over someone who died?
No.
More than Rivers over someone who also kind of died, but not actually. Yeah, I mean, that is crazy that we are at a point in society where this is forgotten about, because that was one of the most monumental human accomplishments. Like, you can put that up on like the Mount Rushmore of human accomplishments. I'm not kidding. That's how crazy that was.
I've never been more shocked at reading football news in my life, except for maybe like last week when I read that Phillip Rivers is interviewing for the Bills head coaching job.
Oh my God.
After that, I can't believe that the 2 most shocking Phillip Rivers moments have probably happened in the year 2020, 2026. Like, that's insane to me that we are just now getting like the best of Phillip Rivers, like the best headlines of Phillip Rivers, and he's been retired for 4 years.
Do you think Phillip Rivers helped his Hall of Fame case with this?
Yeah, that's awesome. It's just another thing to add on to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, yeah, like he had a good career, didn't really do anything in the playoffs, kind of like the Herbert of the time, top 5 guy for a while. But then he came back and then played also, and like was kind of a coach to his team. Like, that's a whole other element to it that's pretty cool.
My whole thing with the Hall of Fame is I think the NFL Hall of Fame is a turnstile. Like, I think what it takes to get in is just such a low standard, respectfully. To me, like, true Hall of Fame players are guys that were uniquely different, or they left their mark in some sort of like very, very influential way. And guys are finding different ways to do that, every single year. And, Phillip Rivers, again, does it. Instead of, going down in history as, one of the Hall of very good quarterbacks, he now can go in for, even if it's not directly a football related reason I mean, it is.
Yeah.
But you get where I'm going. Like, it's enough of an accomplishment.
Yeah. Another thing that you left your mark on, another thing that you did uniquely, another way that you impacted football, even off the field, like those all have helped people. And they admit that. Like, they say, like, it's harder to get into the NFL if you're Terrell Owens and like people kind of hated you and you weren't good for the sport off the field. Like, that made it harder for him to get in. And that's the reason why, Antonio Brown's going to have a very hard time getting in. Easily a top 10 receiver of all time, in my opinion, but like genuinely awful piece of shit human being off of it. So it's going to be hard for him to get in. If you're like Rivers and you just have a bunch of kids and you come back and you're a high school football coach and you play in the NFL after that, that's what it means to be a football player. Just toughness and grit and willpower. And he did that. So I think that helps him a lot.
Well, a couple fun tidbits about the whole thing with Phillip Rivers. Teddy Bridgewater recently did the same thing.
Yes.
And we saw what Teddy Bridgewater looked like in about a quarter of football. Like, awful. The worst. I think that was the worst quarterback play we saw in a game this entire season. That's how bad Teddy Bridgewater was for the quarter he played.
But he's also like 33 or something. Like,
yes, he's also not 45.
Yeah, he actually is 33. Yeah. He's not like he's the age where like a quarterback starts kind of getting old at 33. Mm-hmm. Like, most quarterbacks have like 4 years after this where they're still like very playable. So it was just the fact that he like kind of left the league out of nowhere. But even then, he was like a Lion like pretty recently.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it wasn't like he's been separated from the sport entirely for so long. He's been a backup for a little bit, but yeah, the fact that Big Phil did it, after 4 years, where his body clearly is just like, it's just gone. Like, it's no longer a football body. That was the impressive part.
Yeah. The other cherry on top is Phillip Rivers' 277 yards would be the 5th most yards in a game for Bryce Young in his entire career.
That's insane. That's so ridiculous.
Bryce Young has only thrown for more than 277 yards 4 times in his career.
That's kind of crazy. I mean, that's what 2.5 years now of starting football.
Mm-hmm.
Probably 2 if you count the times he got benched. Oh, that's wild.
And 2 of them have come against NFC South opponents.
That makes sense. Probably the Falcons.
The Falcons, the Bucks. Actually, the Bucks are on here in the top 5 more than once compared to the Falcons, but yes.
Weird. Huh.
Coach of the Year. Final 2 awards, the Coaches Awards. Well, let's start with Assistant Coach of the Year. Guys. Where'd you go with this?
I went Clint Kubiak. It's kind of a popular one. And like they didn't have the best offense in the league, but I think when you look at what they were working with, how many new pieces they had, and not just the volume of the program, but the efficiency that they ran at. Like they were one of the most well-oiled, clearly one of the most well-coached, well-directed, well-practiced offenses in the league. And on top of that, unlocking Darnold and JSN and what they've done and how they just keep managing to just pivot when one thing goes wrong. They can pivot to another and it works really, really well. They can kind of do whatever they want. So for me, it's going to be Kubiak.
I like that. And, you know, I was, as much as I disliked the Sean McDermott firing, I was going to be okay with it as long as Clint Kubiak was the hire. But, you know, that didn't go that route. But he really has done such a phenomenal job. And he's not just gotten this reputation because of his you know, time in Seattle. Like we saw, you know, good spurts of efficient production from his offenses back in, you know, New Orleans time too. So he has been elevating and making groups that people don't expect much from look a lot better. I want to know, I don't know if this is an actual, like I found a database here of trying to find how many pre-snap penalties an offense has taken. I feel like the Seahawks are probably pretty low. Like I just going to show that Kubiak in one offseason with a new quarterback that's never been there. He's never been there to button it up so nicely, to get such an efficient and, you know, well-oiled operation, like you said, going in a short time, really. That's pretty cool. And I wish I could find a number. I'm not going to look through this right now, but I think a pre-snap penalty statistic would kind of go to show that to some degree.
I think it would. I mean, especially with like the caliber of linemen they've had. Like we've made fun of Anthony Bradford infinitely. And they have a rookie lineman, a center that people didn't even know who he was till this year in Sundell. Like, they're not just trotting out the Avengers on that offensive line. They've had Charles Cross injured for months. They've trotted out pretty mediocre shit on paper, if not just flat out bad on paper. And they've managed to look like it's one of the more well-practiced, well-organized offensive lines out there. They had a really good two-headed dragon at running back. They, you know, Torrey Horton came in and immediately was one of the most impressive rookie receivers in the game. Darnold pivoted and went from a gunslinger, a downfield, you know, gunner with KOC and turned into a very efficient and underneath type of playmaking quarterback. Like they've all kind of been unlocked in a different way by Kubiak.
Yeah, they have. I mean, JSN was like at the top of the league in screen passes caught in his first season. And now here we are, and the guy is like impossible to guard down the field. What a theory that was, Shane Waldron. But yes, he has done it, specifically with Darnold too. I'm not going to say he made Darnold mobile, but there were a lot more times I think with Seattle I could think of where he looked a lot more capable of, you know, escaping the pocket or maneuvering the pocket when under pressure than compared to Minnesota. And that could be said for a development of Darnold himself, but I feel like some credit to Kubiak is deserved as well.
Good.
And for similar reasons, my assistant coach of the year was Robert Saleh. I think my passion for him has kind of weaned off lately, just simply because, you know, the 49ers lost and, you know, they've not been in the news as much. But I I said it at the halfway point. I said it during the coaching cycle stuff. Like I was adamant he was going to get a job, to be honest with you. But he just had that defense punching above its weight. It's the best way to put it all year. And it was such an impressive body of work to get this team as far as they got, like from Kyle Shanahan and down below. Not many defensive play callers are getting what they got out of the secondary players they had on the field. And, losing Fred Warner, like that's their rock. And that guy is really the most important piece probably on the entire football team. And he goes down, and I guess that was proven wrong. So Robert Saleh definitely, I think if not a head coach this year, he's going to be one following 2026.
Well, I believe he did get the job, did he not?
Did he? Oh, he did. Shit.
Yeah.
Wait, no, Dable.
No, he's the OC.
Oh, Dable's the OC. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wait, really? Am I getting that backwards? Really? I thought it was Dable that got the head coaching job.
No, they got Saleh has been their head coach for like a week now.
Oh shit.
And they said Dable would be their OC if he didn't, head coach at Buffalo.
Okay.
Because he wasn't interested in Philly,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of funny, but he's interested in Tennessee, which is very interesting. Just personnel-wise, who we're throwing to. Very interesting. But yeah, Saleh is going to be given another chance at another shit market team. So I really don't like that for him. Because the entire thing is like Cam Ward is the guy we're building around. He has no weapons. We still didn't really have a proven offensive coordinator to do that for him, because Saleh, he has nothing to do with the offense. He doesn't touch it. It's just going to be him trying to coach up the defense into that New York Jets level that he did before. And these kind of guys are the guys that usually win the awards. Like you said, punching above their weight. It's usually the coach that punches the best above their weight is who wins the awards. And like you said, they lost Nick Bosa pretty early on. They lost Fred Warner, and they already had some off-season departures that were already going to hurt, like Hufanga and Greenlaw. And now they're just well out of sorts, like having the whole Legion of Whom out there playing football. They were set up poorly. They could have very well been a bottom 5 defense in the league, and they ended up tracking to be a above average defense. They weren't elite, they were above average, but based on the personnel that they had out there, I think that's very impressive, and it helped them win a very big handful of games that ultimately ended up carrying them into the playoffs.
They were begging for pass rush wins from guys that just had no business getting pass rush snaps at all, man. It was sad. It really was.
I mean, even to have, who the hell they have out there? Mykel Williams, that was already going to be kind of bad. To have some like Mykel Williams and Bryce Huff already an edge room that makes you squeamish a little bit. And then Bryce Huff played very well. And you're like, okay, maybe we can get something out of this. Then he got hurt. And then you're like, oh my God, who are these people? Guys with names you can't pronounce that start with A and are 12 letters long. It was a tough seed for him, and they still managed to be a very solid overall defense with a good offense.
Yes, yeah, agreed. That really describes what Robert Saleh was dealing with perfectly. It legitimately was the entire season for poor Robert, and I hope it goes well for him, because I think he really was just so fucked over in New York. Oh my God, the disaster that organization is. But not that Tennessee sounds like it's so much better.
That's my biggest issue is I don't think they're any better at that, actually. They might be worse. So we are going to be praying for you. Hopefully Daboll can help that, having 2 head coaching minds in the same place, not having who was their offensive coordinator over there?
Last year?
No, the disastrous one in New York.
Oh, this
when? 2 or 3 years ago.
Oh, in New York? It was
the one that
Hackett.
Hackett's what I'm thinking of. Yes.
Yeah.
Hackett, and then they also had LaFleur, I think, that also didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was tough scenes. No more Hacketts, and we're good.
Yeah, literally. Well, Coach of the Year. We'll finish it off with the big one.
Yep.
I went with Mike McDonald for this one. And I think to some degree, you could go a lot of different ways with this. I thought the coach of the year off, if you will, was the 49ers and Seahawks end of season game. And then even the postseason to some extent. Like, I'm not going to say that definitively told the whole story because of the roster difference, but McDonald just having the year he had, given the expectations that people had for them, it's really that simple for me. So I think Vrabel could be in this conversation as well, but just like the schedule applies to Drake May, it's going to apply to Mike Vrabel as well. So this is a tough division that they play in, a tougher conference in the AFC looking back. And I think Mike McDonald should walk away with this one.
I would agree, but I don't want to double up on my Seahawks.
Yeah.
But I think he's been an incredible coach. And I think when people talk about getting Minter and all them, like trying to chase McDonald, when you're trying to chase a head coaching, like that's how you know you've made it. When people are trying to just replicate exactly what you just became. And there's a reason why nobody gives a shit about the Seahawks defensive coordinator. No one cares because they know who's running it. They know it's McDonald. They know he did an incredible job. And even like his speeches are being turned into edits because this guy like is very, very well liked. And that's kind of why I also picked Vrabel to be mine.
Yeah.
Because we've talked endlessly about how Drake May has had an incredible season. All excuses around it. Overall, an outstanding season. Second best season of any quarterback this year. But I think what I've tried to get across is I don't think that he's carrying them. Like, I genuinely think the Patriots are a very, very good, well-rounded team. They're like sixth in rushing yards per game. They have the top 10 defense in the league. Their special teams has been elite all season long. Like, I think they are winning in the very small little things, which is how the Patriots of yesteryear were winning their Super Bowls. So to have a team so well-rounded, so good at all the little things, like genuinely every little thing, I feel really good about that being the head coach, especially with this being his first year there and seeing how rapid the change was.
Yeah, that's definitely fair. And I think I never thought I'd be able to say this, but this is probably the closest to the feel of Belichick for New England that we could get to. Like, obviously these are much different personalities. Like, Vrabel's bigger guy in your face, he's in the room type of presence. But as far as like the grittiness and the tightness and the Patriot way, like obviously he was a Patriot, so he learned from Belichick. That obviously is playing a part here. But Gerard Mayo also was that, and he wasn't that at the same time. Like, that was a complete and utter disaster. And the fact that we went from Gerard Mayo to what I would say is arguably the closest thing that they could find to Belichick, especially just knowing his history with Tennessee's defenses and the way he's always had them buttoned up. Like, it's that same kind of feel, and that's terrifying. It really is. So give this team, I'm not going to say actual talent because they are good. These guys are playing tremendous. But when you get a roster that you don't have to get to overperform the way that this coaching staff has, New England's going to be, that's when they'll be a truly, truly terrifying force to me.
Agreed.
But Ben Johnson, too, should deserve some.
He definitely,
shout.
Yeah. Part of that clutch factor has also been his play calling as well. So I think that's super fair.
Yeah. Ben, to me, I think kind of goes overshadowed in my own mind because of, I'm not going to say the expectations for the Bears, even though that should be what matters the most. It's the expectations for him. Like, we talked about it and joked about it for so long. Like, this guy better be Jesus or else it's going to be a disaster. And he has been, quite frankly. So he pulled through on his individual expectations, whereas McDonald, Vrabel, not so much. And that's not because we didn't think they were good coaches. We just didn't really know what to expect here. So
sure.
That will wrap up our our award predictions for this season. Let us know what you think down in the comment section below. Do you have any final thoughts you want to share before we wrap up?
Not a one.
So if you guys have anything you want to add, Discord is in the description, comments down below. Thank you for watching. Share, comment, like, subscribe, and we will see you in episode 91.